Hello.
Hi, I will try to share my video and we will see how good my internet connection is.
How are you? How are things?
Sorry.
Hi.
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 So let's wait a minute and we will start. And thanks, by the way, thanks for everybody reaching me on different platforms. So I'm safe, my relatives are safe, everything is good, and I'm actually returning back to work and like being online. And 1 second, I will remove my headphones. It's kind of hard. Do you hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can still hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will find agenda in a minute and we'll probably start. I think everyone who will join can join later, but we start from official part. So I'm sending agenda into chat, so you can also open it. And we can start. If you want to follow, you can open agenda.
Lauren want to be coming today, so Lauren is. Yeah, he messaged me.
Okay.
So I think we're good.
Yeah, and I accidentally probably committed to different one. I wanted to add agenda items. I should edit it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think your commit is on some other one.
No, actually, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the 5th point on this one.
5th point, yeah. So let's start from point number 1. As you probably know, Graphql.js, hi Yakov, under Graphql Foundation. And so as any project on the Graphql Foundation, to take part in it, you need to sign membership agreement, participation, code of conduct, and probably it's only 2 documents. So if anybody watching us recording this meeting and want to join next one, please sign this one, and you can sign it as an individual. So, and it's like 5 minutes. Yeah. So second item is introduction of attendees, and let's go in the order of in agenda. So let's start from me. Hi, I'm Ivan, and next is Sushi. Sushi.
Hey.
Yeah, sorry if mispronounced. Can you, by the way, introduce yourself? Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm Shuchi, and I basically work at Bloomberg, and we have a GraphQL product. So I was interested in what the working group is doing.
Yeah, thanks. I had you next.
Hi everyone, I'm Sahaj, and I work at the Guild and help maintain Graphql.js and a couple other foundation projects. Lauren is not here today.
Yakov or Alex, whoever one.
I'm not on the agenda. I'm about to be. I'm submitting a PR, but yeah, I'm Alex. I'm at Yelp, and I'm working on client control nullability.
Hi, I'm Yakov. Same deal for me. I'll hopefully add a PR in a second. I'm an open source enthusiast. I help a little bit with schema stitching, and I'm working on trying to get that working with Defer and Stream, which has been taking quite some time.
Yeah, so next one, review previous meeting action items. No update for me. It was like really busy month for totally unrelated reasons. So anybody else have any updates on action items? So yeah, we need to address that, and I need to address like stuff that assigned to me. So by the next meeting, yeah, I will want to do some progress, but right now nothing changed since last month. Yeah, and I added first action item, first like agenda item to discuss situation, because I'm basically disappeared for a month. Before last time, last working group, yeah, so I canceled the last working group for like health issues, and it's coincide like next day it was start of the war in Ukraine. Yeah, so like open source was quite like not at the top of my list of priorities. Yeah, basically disappeared. Right now I'm back. I have like, I'm right now, sorry if I didn't answer any like issue or anything, because I'm like, this end of last week and beginning of this week, I returned back to work. So I'm like going through like emails, Twitter and other things and answering everybody. So, but at the same time, I don't know what happened. And even unrelated to current situation in Ukraine, even like without, I think we need contingency plan. So, and I want to suggest, we already have a mechanism, a reviewer team. So we discuss members of reviewing team, we like discuss and agreed on algorithm, how things will be handled. So I want to pressure, and I think like yeah, I think everybody except Yakov from review team have commit access, and Yakov specifically asked not to give it to him. So other than that, I think everybody have maybe Martin not. But if I disappear, it's like, even if I don't disappear, we still have this mechanism, and you can use it. Like, and you should definitely use it if I like disappear one more time for like some reason. So I wanted to make it clear. Yeah. Plus, there is no like issues of project being blocked, because all the technical steering committee people have like commit access and admin access and can add new users. And I think like we have 50 people with admin rights in GraphQL organization. So yeah, so if like reviewer team or somebody else will be blocked by something, please being like technical steering committee, and yeah, basically I like outline all this point in comments. Just wanted to also deliver it in person.
Do the people on the review team, do they have commit access? Like, can they merge things to main? Can they do releases?
Yeah, I think like NPM access can be a bottleneck. So yeah, so like definitely much like Sahaj have much access. I'm not sure about Martin.
I don't have merge access today.
You don't have merge access?
I don't have merge or like NPM access to publish anything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I can't
NPM
merge any
access.
request.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not even like merge access on like pull request. I can't merge to main or push to main.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will look into it. Since we have like team, I will. As for NPM keys, it's more problematic because
like yeah, NPM key, if we can just add to GitHub CI, that would be fine. We can work with CI to publish, but for like actually merging things, I would need like merge access.
Good. I probably have like some branch protection rules, and I will add the reviewer team into like branch protection rule. I will try not to. I will work with this hedge to test that you actually see it. So yeah, other than that, yeah, there's probably branch protection rule because you have write access. In any case, if you block by something, TC is like 11 people, and they all have admin access. So if you block by something, if like, for example, like something like you need to publish NPM package, please reach to them and they give you NPM keys. Problem with NPM key, why I don't want, because always, high profile cases when it was compromised, NPM was package was compromised through personal accounts. Sadly, like NPM security is not ideal. You cannot restrict tokens to particular packages and other like issues with that. So I'm like, yeah, but I will double check that with GraphQL Foundation what to do with NPM keys. Yeah, so like somebody from NPM GraphQL Foundation at TC have access to NPM keys. I think it would be, as I think. And by the way, all other issues like GraphQL.org, like documentation website, like domain names, everything, TC should either already have access to it or they can reach GraphQL Foundation and ask for access to it. GraphQL Foundation have like LastPass account, so like all password managers there. So it can take like day or two, but yeah, I think it can be on board. So except like means a hedge testing, the reviewer team is able to merge stuff. Anybody else have any question or concern before we move to another topic?
This is not important at all, but just because it's being recorded and it might sound a little weird, I asked Jakub here. I asked not to be given merge access just because I'm experimenting with a experimental executor that's actually a fork of Graphql.js, and I'm not. I just got a little concerned that I might, there's probably a better way to do it, but I might push to main, for example, in Graphql.js by accident instead of my fork. So I asked just to be removed just as an extra layer of protection.
Yeah. Well, totally understandable. Plus, it's like technical issue. It's important that group of people, reliable group of people in different parts of the world have access to it. And now I understand that these people should be geographically distributed, because yeah, anything can happen to any country at any moment of time. Yeah. So if you at some point want to get like right access, please reach me or TC or like anybody. I think you've done enough like community that you totally have all the trust for stuff like that. Since we have packed agenda, let's move to another topic. Canary releases. Sahaj, you did it, and can you please tell us about your concern?
Yeah, so for the Canary releases, today we have Canary releases on every pull request. So if you open something, you'll get a Canary on every pull request. But there is a potential security concern with how we do canaries today. Is like anyone can open a pull request, will get a canary, which means any bad actor could open a pull request against Graphql.js and will get like a Graphql.js npm version for something. So maybe we want to restrict this, that someone has to manually click a canary for it from like a reviewer team or someone.
Yeah, I think like it was a part of what we discussed. So people, like I did some measures. First thing, I think like 2 days ago, I merged a little bit different version of that, because I also was concerned that we release Canary for every PR. So I was concerned for other reason, because we basically push a lot of a lot of like unnecessary packages to Graphql.js to npm. So I changed it a bit. So now we have bot. If you send the link in the chat. So yeah, if you want to publish something on npm, you can execute a command as a command. Yeah, and I did it. I didn't use any like server or anything. It's like only CI action. I actually discovered some issue with that. I need to fix, but yeah, it's working right now. So a change here is now PRs are released on request. What about security part? I think I took necessary. So like a problem here is,
I mean, it deters many, like it deters actually, like most of the botters are away. Like any botter tries to open a pull request won't be able to do anything because now there's like a human factor. You gotta actually comment on the pull request, right?
Yeah, and
so to most extent it's okay, I think. So
yeah,
we should be fine.
Yeah, clarify a bit, since like other people can have similar. I personally had like the same security concern, but GitHub. You remember like mining scandal like a year ago when people tried to mine on CI actions. So first time people who open a PR for the first time have the GitHub action blocked. So the same mechanism apply like to that action. So if it's a non-contributor, yeah. Also to clarify, during like this Canary releases, I specifically remove all scripts, and I had deprecation message saying, please check like PR before you before you use this package. So no security is compromised during installation phase because there is no scripts. And in process of installing, there is like clear warning you're using like something experimental. So I think it's not ideal scenario, but I think value from this feature is bigger than some potential risk. Unless we discover like actual situation. Yeah. And anything else on this topic? Yeah. And by the way, like issue I need to fix, it's like it's look like every time you comment now, your comment gets hidden because of this bot. I will fix it. If you see this behavior, I discovered just before this meeting, I will fix it. It's like really weird one. Yeah. So anything else on this agenda items before we move to the next one?
Oh, thanks for getting this out, by the way. It unblocked me and it was super helpful. Worked great.
Yeah, and key part here, actually, like why it took some time, is that this thing is working even if your branch is not on official repo. So you can publish stuff on your fork and release it as a package. So like one of my concerns was if it's done only on branches of official repo, people will want everything to become a branch on official repo, and it will create a bunch of like problems. So yeah, it's like you can do your own fork and publish, and hopefully it will improve situation and unblock people. Yeah. So next one is about ESM. It's also user hedge.
Yes, so we have this pull request for setting up ESM support for Graphql.js. So I will send the link. And I think most of the comments are being addressed on it. And it's like, right now it gets published under like Graphql-ESM package, but we can like, I think the discussion is, do we drop CJS completely on GraphQL 17, or do we like how do we want to proceed with this pull request? Because this is already state to be merged. So this is more like a decision to take in the working group, how we are planning to move this forward.
I'm like, it's interesting to hear what if people. I'm personally for like making it as simple as possible. So dropping CJS would be ideal for me. I'm not sure if it like how problematic it will be for
like, does Apollo client support, like, because for all our toolings at the guild, all our tools will work with ESM. We have like out of the box ESM support for stuff. It's more like who else will be impacted. So it's like, is Apollo client ready for this change? Because I think that's one of the other biggest libraries who may be impacted with this.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, and it's related to version 17 agenda items. Idea for
Yes,
yeah,
because I don't think we would be able to get ESM within 16 unless,
yeah.
I mean, there is sort of ESM support today, but not complete. So it would require a breaking change in the line to get complete ESM.
Technically,
And most packages have dropped ES, like most packages did drop, like many are dropping today with CJS. So it's like, it's probably the right thing to do. I don't know. It's up to discussion.
Yeah, to clarify, we can try to make ESM a non-breaking way, but there is like high probability we break something, and idea is to have like version 16 as a stable. Yeah, so what's idea for version 17 was unstable thing to test like stuff like that. So yeah, dropping CJS completely in unstable version. And I think we can use the same approach we used for version 16, and it was helpful that Guild and Apollo and everybody else who wanted to test the package before final release were able to do so. And as a good example, flow typings, like it was idea to also maintain flow typings, but we dropped it, and like I didn't saw any like nobody reported any big issue with it. People like kind of understood it as a normal like evolution of things. So I think we can do the same with CJS. So we can drop it, like open issue about it. I think is a good thing, similar to 4.1, and drop it. And if anybody concerned, figure out what to do before release, 17.00 release. Yeah. So I'm like my main concern and why I like hesitant, because it's like bunch of tooling, Webpack, Rollup, and everybody else, and sometimes like they have conflict. Something can like use CJS, MJS. It's like bunch of configuration. You cannot test it. Some of use cases, like yeah. So my proposal basically like to drop it and in 17 open an issue, and if like anybody raise valid concern, we can figure out some other plan for CJS, like for example release GraphQL like CJS package or something else. And anybody else have suggestions or any other plans? No, so I think we can basically yeah, I think like we two agreed, right? So I try to.
Yeah, I will file the issue after the meeting, and then we can just wait. Like we'll just tweet it out and get some feedback on it, and then see if there's anything. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll just put this part of like 17.
If you know like anybody who maintain big GraphQL related project, like send him issue and ask if he have strong opinion about that. So another issue.
Sorry, is there a? Are we? I just lost. I'm not sure. I got 100%. Are we talking about whether to drop CJS support, or are we talking about whether to publish like a publish an ESM only version like that I saw was done in one of the PRs, that under a like sort of like a defer stream experimental tag, like kind of system? Or are we talking about both of those as options, or?
Yeah, I think idea here is the same as we had like Flow versus TypeScript. We can support both, but it's harder. Let's support what would be used by most people, and see if like anybody have like big issues with that, because like we can spend efforts on supporting both, and nobody will actually use it since like.
But I mean, there is somewhat of a difference in the flow typings and TypeScript, sort of integrated on every line of the code base. And, I think we have whereas here we're talking about sort of like the build scripts that can just sort of put out an ESM only package for every like release. If we wanted, we could even do canaries that with an ESM package on every canary, meaning it can be pretty easily automated from what I saw. Not that I dug too deeply into that PR, but it didn't seem, it didn't really seem like the same level of burden.
Yeah, so issues here is combination. It's like three things: CJS, MJS, tree shaking, and peer dependency. So it's like triangle. It's hard to implement three things at the same time. So you can implement dual package CJS and MJS, but lose tree shaking. Official way of implementing dual packages with peer dependency is to publish code as CJS and have MJS wrappers. But in that case, you lose tree shaking. So currently we have like tree shaking, but if we go official route, we lose it. There is this approach that Pablo implemented, like with the same package but different version, which can work, but I never saw anybody actually doing that. Like Pablo wrote a test suite showing it's working. It's like a little bit confusing that different versions have different content. So my point here is official solution proposed by Node.js team have a problem with tree shaking, and tree shaking is important for GraphQL package since it's used in clients. So inventing our own solution is not what ideally I want to do or experiment a lot. We can go this route, but I think if the entire ecosystem is moving that direction, we can try also for the lead, basically. So it's not like just easier. It's like there is issues with that, and as I spent like a lot of time thinking how to solve it. And with solution by Pablo, I also propose some ways to do that, but the whole approach is kind of experimental. I think ideally we just follow what the entire ecosystem is doing and publishing just ESM package.
Okay, I mean, I definitely agree that, it pays to gather more feedback, from the broader, in terms of, we don't have to be the last people to do anything. We don't have to be the first,
Especially for unrelated thing, if it's okay to experiment like with GraphQL stuff, it's the main concern of this package, but for like distribution or ESM CJS support, I think it's best to just follow ecosystem. But in case if somebody will have like big issue that is not solvable, in some form, we can always try to work around it, or we can like move to Babel solution just like other way around. So like core package will be ESM, and if you want to use CJS, you use like some special version. So yeah. Anyway, like before 17.0.0 release, we can change our mind based on feedback. I just want to push like future-proof solution first and see feedback. Anything else from anybody before we move to next topic about introspection, query type? So about introspection, query type.
Oh, this was some like bug found, I think.
Yeah, I read it just
We
before.
just need to address this.
Yeah, I read
It's
it.
like a type issue.
Yeah, before this call, and I think it's like documentation issue here, like quick response. And after this call, like today or tomorrow, I'm not sure about today, but tomorrow, I will write answer to it, basically saying, and I will see if, or you can check yourself if we have like proper documentation, but that type is intended to be, those types are intended to be for result of get introspection query. It's like those types is not for custom introspection queries. Those type is like specifically intended for response of query returned by get introspection query. So this person wrote his. No, I think no. I will check it more because now I'm a little bit concerned. Maybe I'm like reading wrong because I just checked. Yeah. Anyway, I will check it. Yeah, actually thought it was different issue. Yeah. Yeah. If person right. Yeah. I will check typings and respond. I don't. Anybody else want to provide feedback on that, or maybe Sahaj, you have something to tell?
No, I don't have anything yet for it.
Okay, I will check tomorrow. Or if anybody want to help, feel free to also check like typings and post like.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
About next one, I think we had discussion there. And next
Yeah,
one.
there was like a big discussion on directives.
Yeah, I think it's like design issue. What to do there? Because basically it's different functions. Initially, it was different functions. Initially, build client schema was designed to build schema from a client, and build IC schema was designed to build your own schema. Difference here is you want useful defaults for your own schema, but you want to preserve client schema in the same way. For example, you have non-standard client, or you have like or you want to detect like some old GraphQL version. For example, like previously GraphQL previous version of like spec have little bit different things inside the introspection. I'm not sure of directives. Probably, yeah, specify by. It's like new directive. So you don't want to inject specify by in response of a client. You want to check if client have specified by or not. And I'm not speaking even about stream and defer, which is like totally different issue. But even like for specify by or deprecate, like for example, deprecate right now we have like 4 locations, but previously we had only 2 locations. So, but I'm like, and I think I wrote in comment of this issue that initial assumption now wrong now, because people say their introspection as a SDL. So, and use SDL to like populate like in memory schema for a client. So now both formats used interchangeably. So previous assumption that you use SDL for your own schemas and introspection for client schemas is not right. People can use SDL as storage format for client schemas. So what to do with that? I think it's figure out some architectural approach. To my question, I will read Yakov comments thing and try to respond. Anybody else have like feedback on that? Or I think like since the designing things, it best handled offline, like in discussion, but we can discuss it here briefly if anybody wants. If not, we can just like continue discussion offline, and I will basically use this agenda as a list of stuff to respond in as priority list to respond on issues. Yeah, about 17. So Sahaj, it's like agenda items for me, right? Because we didn't put like,
yeah. So 17 would be like having ESM, like some state of ESM, whatever we discussed based on like the issue we open, either completely drop it or like what Yakov was suggesting right now. And then what would be some other things that we are planning to make? Because I remember with V16, we had that like enum issue, like the enum object, like the TypeScript enum thing. Is that something we want to revert back for V17? Because that will be a breaking change again.
Yeah, I think idea here is to start the process and have like so roadmap so far was like that. Idea I actually branch out version 16 into a separate branch, and idea was to change main to version 17.
Yeah, I saw like a couple pull requests were marked as like alpha 17.0.
Yeah.
So I guess we're just triaging everything into 17 now for these kind of things.
Yeah, so idea was that I'm briefly interrupted to quickly do like Canary release things, and it took like way more time than I expected, basically. So idea right now release like another minor version because people discovered some bugs in version 16 and branch it out because it's have correct scripts for both. So I will remove old branch version 16 and release and do like new one. I actually tried to do it before we scope, but yeah, I didn't make it in time. And after that, merge everything marked as version 17 and start merging like experimental stuff. I think we can create milestone version 17 and just tag everything. One thing, yeah, so you're right. We need to figure out like minimal set of things we need to include in version 17. So maybe not.
There are like a couple things about schema coordinates. Do schema coordinates go in v17 or are they dependent on when working group moves to next stage?
Working group. Stream like what definitely goes into
Stream and buffer is also probably gonna get stabilized, I believe, by that time, or should we?
yeah, no, stream and differ. I didn't watch like last working group. I missed it. Unless something extreme happened, I think
I didn't go to last one. I wasn't able to.
yeah, I will watch it, and unless like people disagreed, idea was that we ship something. So stream and defer idea is to merge it, and I even like for things like Alex PR or for knowability is also merged because we agreed to do it under a flag. So yeah, it's like always think it's happening. To clarify, Alex, it's about syntax. We agreed to merge syntax, not semantics. And maybe later we can, yeah, but I think you mostly both on syntax. Similar thing like with stream and defer, I think like defer is more agreed. So the only thing we can, I will watch working group, and I also ask Rob of current status. Maybe we'll split stream from defer. Yeah, it's. I think we need to ask Rob of current status, and because I think like it was some concern about stream and format of payload.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see the next working group, and but we can get like most things in V7, like the foreign stream and like
So
schema
like
coordinates maybe.
Schema coordinates. It's like was championed by somebody else, but when Lee adopted PR, so
Because yeah, Lee has like a couple pull requests around it. So like he also has
yeah.
like a default coercion stuff that is
Yeah.
I think ready but needs review. But
Yeah,
I don't
this
know
one
if it needs a review right now. Or
that
not.
one is huge. That one is
Yeah.
huge and compact, and it's actually a good thing that to start merging version 17 because like a way Lee did it, if I remember correctly, is not to have like breaking changes at all, which why some of the things are, but that PR chain is the most complex PR chain I ever saw in my life. So yeah, that can take some time, I would say, because it's not as impactful as stream and defer, but it's like really complex, and it should go through like thorough review. Yeah. So we have 10 minutes. Should we proceed with couple of, I think.
Well, the next issue is just like it's just adding like globals, and I just need like I think it's pretty straightforward. I just need like approval to merge that thing.
Yeah,
So if you can do that offline.
Yeah, one thing about that one, and it's related to issues about Webpack rollup and other stuff. I'm like okay with merging it if it's like work with default Webpack configuration. So unless I miss something, but Webpack just replace process and not end with like environment, current environment. I'm not sure about global with, if it's like get confused by global with or not. If Webpack is not confused, and if you don't need any special configuration for Webpack, so basically like current config for Webpack will continue to work, I'm like okay with this change.
I know for rollup and Vite it works because I've tried that, but I don't know about Webpack. So I think it should work fine on Webpack because that's what Lauren is explaining on it. So I think and we do have Webpack tests in our thing, somewhat like bundling at least.
Okay, I mean like removal of this code from Webpack, not like in issue I will write like I will probably the most effective one would be I would just add the test. In case if we have test and test is failing, people have a way to figure out solution that make test pass. Yeah, so my action item is to add test to Graphql.js, and Lauren can rebase his PR and see if it pass or not. Yes, a different stream was added by Rob, right? Or I'm missing something. Probably it was added by user hedge, but you copied from previous one, right?
Oh, these ones were from Rob, and I don't think Rob is here today.
Yeah, so
Because I think these are the last two open action items. And I don't, Yukov, if you have any idea on
I think are these the ones about the Fern stream?
Yeah.
they're the different stream one, async intervals and generator stuff.
Yeah, I mean they weren't from Rob. They were actually were from me, but they were to Rob. And so I'm not sure if we can get very far in it without him, actually. So I'll leave that to you guys to decide.
Yeah, I'm little, to be honest, I'm a little bit out of context. I think what we can do, and since like it almost always the same people discussing stream before, it was intensive discussion between you, Yakov, and Rob, and so maybe when we actually like start merging stuff, before that, to know everything is clear, we can make separate call about stream and defer. I think it would be more like effective to have a separate call and to have like code samples, to share a screen and to discuss like stuff.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, I think it's more. To be honest, I'm not sure. It might even belong in the spec meeting as well.
By the way, same goes to spec meetings also. If discussion starts there, we can always create separate call. We had this for one-off and for some other topics are specified by, we had like separate calls, because sometimes people can go really deep into stuff and this requires time. So yeah, if you're interested in that, feel free to suggest it during working group call or like reach. And by the way, ideally it should be recorded same as other working groups. So reach somebody, me or somebody else from related to GraphQL Foundation. They can use the Zoom, create a separate Zoom meeting for that call. It's like just suggestion of how to speed up things with stream and defer.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I just pasted into the chat. I mean, I have, I think if Rob's not here, it's not the right context for it. But I have, I mean, basically the differences that I could set up and do, a short discussion about in terms of the signatures of the execute functions, and how things would look a little differently. And basically, the general picture, without getting into the specifics, is just to better implement the ability to work on batches of results at a time. I mean, right now we're using async iterators that give one result at a time from the backend. But if your backend is applying more than one result, and execute is able to push more than one result, sort of with each round of the event loop, that you might get a little bit better performance that way. I just am not 100% sure on whether it's actually a spec change or only an implementation detail. So I think we thought that it would be an implementation detail, but I think it's really, like you said, more Rob and maybe they're more interested in it than the large.
Yeah, I think like what spec have is algorithm, and it specifically says you can implement it differently if you get the same observed result. So it's twofold. If you think it's valuable for all implementation, and if you think it's like, and especially like, and if it's change observed result, it's definitely belong to main working group. If it's like one of the way to implement algorithm, and basically if you want to send multiply thing in the same HTTP package, kind of, when it's the same multi-part thing, how it's called, it's like it should be part of my working group, I think. If it's just a performance optimization measure in Graphql.js, it means implementation detail.
Okay, well, I mean, that's basically the next topic for me to figure out. And if it is a spec detail, I guess I'll present it there. And if not, I guess conference with Rob.
Okay, and like we had last agenda item, but Alex said he need to go. Next time I will try to manage time better, so we have time to discuss all the issues. But I think we briefly discussed client control nullability, that parsing part, syntax part is getting much under a flag, and semantic part is blocked by discussion in working group, since people cannot agree on like final details how it should work, but everybody agreed on the syntax. So yeah, we have a progress plans for unblock this issue until next working group. Anybody else? Anything else? Anybody want to discuss? Or like if you have stuff you want to talk about client control nullability, we also can discuss it. Anything else anybody want to add?
There's like this error object constructor pull request, like refactoring the GraphQL error constructor.
Yeah, I actually was reviewing that, so I'm just
Okay.
pressing. Yeah, I'm returning back to reviewing stuff. I need to mix and match. I have like some stuff that I need to work from Apollo, so I'm like try to every day allocate a little bit of time to review. But perhaps I start reviewing that because that one is the simplest one, and I think Lauren addressed, like I left some review comment and it was addressed. So I'm in process for reviewing that. Anything else?
Okay, that's it for me.
Yeah. So it was very productive working group. We discussed like a bunch of issues and agreed on next steps. So see you in a month and hope everyone will be safe.
I just want to say it's good to see you, Ivan, and we hope to be seeing much more of you.
Yeah, thank you, Jakub. Bye.
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 Yeah, see you in a month.